Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, September 28th, and you know what that means. It's time for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. And right now I'm on edge, not trusting my friends. God has been there with me, but it's me, Jeremy Pierce. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course, the 215 on Twitter. In today's show, well, we're going to be looking at and having some fun talking about the forgotten modern WWE pay-per-views. This is going to be really fun with Bad Blood being brought back, and you know, NXT bringing back Vengeance, the Great American Bash, and No Mercy. It's time to go have some fun. We're going to talk about them Johns, but for now, you know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. All right, this list right here is very, very simple. These are the 5 worst WWE pay-per-views of all time, and we're going to start with number 5, In Your House 4, Great White North. Now, when you have a show in Canada, you don't do one specific thing. You do not put Bret Hart in a dark match, and that's exactly what they did. We also had the Smoking Guns going against Razor Ramon and 1-2-3 Kid, which was fine, but Golda's debut, who was not good, and Yokozuna versus Mabel was just one of the worst big man matches ever. Then we have the infamous bit of Dean Douglas being rewarded the Intercontinental Championship by Shawn Michaels at the forfeit, and then immediately losing to Razor Ramon. And of course, the main event, Diesel versus Davey Boy Smith, had such a horrible ending with the British Bulldog winning by DQ that was not a way to send the crowd home happy. Number 4, Great American Bash 2004. You remember this one. This was the SmackDown brand exclusive pay-per-view, and outside of the amazing Eddie Guerrero JBL Texas Bull Rope match, everything else just sucked. John Cena versus Booker T, Rene Dupree versus RVD. John Cena versus Booker T, Rene Dupree and RVD in a Fatal 4-Way match. Luther Reigns versus Charlie Haas and Sable versus Tori, and Mordecai versus Bob Holly. Whack. But it was the main event that stands the test of time, as The Undertaker beat the Dudley Boys in a handicap match, and then he buried Paul Bearer alive in concrete. We saw this man die on pay-per-view. Let that sink in. Number 3, WrestleMania 9. Now, this is considered the worst WrestleMania of all time, and there are some modern ones that aren't good, but the Caesar's Palace may have sounded like a good idea, but it looked cheap. It was less crowded. Everyone was wearing robes. Their outfits were stupid, the wrestlers. This just wasn't good. The bouts were just bad. We had Doink the Clown attack, two Doinks attack and Crush. We had Taker versus Giant Gonzalez. We all remember that. Razor Ramon versus Bob Backlund, and of course, the very, very hyped Mega Maniacs versus the Money Inc. match ended in a DQ with the faces losing. And what everyone remembers about this main event is Bret Hart, the most over guy in the company at that time, losing to Yokozuna. Lost the championship to Yokozuna, who lost it a minute later to Hulk Hogan. Just bad. Then we got King of the Ring 1995 at number 2. And yeah, just not good. You know who won that King of the Ring? It was Mabel. Well, let's look at the card. The tournament just was bad. Taker and HBK were knocked out early, while Savio Vega was put into the finals over Taker and HBK, and it ended with, again, Mabel winning. And they wanted to push a new heel, and I'm fine with you pushing a new heel. King of the Ring is always great when heels win. Just Mabel wasn't it. Mind you, also on that card, Bret Hart fought Jerry Lawler in a Kiss My Foot match, and the main event was Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow versus Sid Vicious and Tatanka. Yes, not even a title match closed that show. It was really, really bad. And of course, the one that hurts me the most, number 1, December to December. This was WWECW's first pay-per-view. And here's the thing. Most of the card was not even announced before the show begin. It became the lowest rated, one of the lowest order pay-per-views of all time, and it just wasn't a good sign for the revival of ECW because Vince McMahon just didn't want it to succeed. Sorry. Eminem fought the Hardy Boys. Boss Mahoney had a bad match against Matt Striker. Tommy Dreamer was beaten down by the Great Khali, and there was a terrible intergender match where Kevin Thorne and Ariel, y'all know I love me some Shelly Martinez, fought Mike Knox and Kelly, who was just never a great worker. And of course, we have the Elimination Chamber match for the ECW Championship where Bobby Lashley won. And that would have been well and good with Lashley winning, but here's the thing. You had Big Show dominate, and you had CM Punk, who was the most over guy on that ECW roster, being knocked out early. The show was so bad, Paul Heyman was in tears after that and just left. That's how bad it was. We'll be right back. The spotlight is back, it's bright, and it is shining on a man I greatly respect, and that is Paul Heyman. Why is it on Paul Heyman? Well, the Bloodline story is very much rolling along, and the old tribal chief misses his wise men. Paul Heyman is a wrestling god in this business, very respected, and honestly, in my opinion, has a better wrestling mind than Vince McMahon. He brings just such clarity to storylines, such clarity to anything he's involved in, that you can't help but grab his ear and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And this Bloodline storyline has been going on for 4 years, probably a little bit longer, and Paul Heyman has been a major reason why, and we are expecting him back. We are expecting him to realign himself with Roman Reigns. And once Paul Heyman comes back, you can very much expect the storyline to really take off once again, because the pieces are going to get moving, and I think it's going to be the wise man that will truly have Roman Reigns turn over a new leaf. We'll be right back. WWE pay-per-views are just natural. They just come as easy as breathing. They are essentially a part of you now, like water. And they come a lot. They come often. And we've gone from having, 4, 6, 8. I think at one point we had almost 18 pay-per-views in 1 year. Let me take a quick look at that. I'm sorry, we've had as many as 21 in 1 year. That's when we include NXT. So yeah, there's a lot, but we need them. It just is how you finish a storyline. It's how you maybe start a storyline. And remember when we had the brand extension? That's when we had these many pay-per-views. Raw, SmackDown, NXT were getting their brand exclusive pay-per-views, and I was all for it, but WWE just went a really bad way of going about it, and that's okay. No, it's not okay. So you've got to do better. But these pay-per-views, these events, they're what we look forward to at the end of the month, and since we've had so many, clearly, obviously, some of them have gone by the wayside. So let's start with Taboo Tuesday. Do you remember Taboo Tuesday? Taboo Tuesday was a Raw exclusive pay-per-view, and it was held on a Tuesday for the first time ever, and fans were given the chance to vote on the stipulations. So we had, I think, 2 Taboo Tuesdays, and then it switched over to Cyber Sunday. But the first Taboo Tuesday was a 9-match card, and let's look at the voting results, right? So opponent for Chris Jericho, choices were Shelton Benjamin, Batista, Jonathan Coachman, Christian, Rhino, Maven, Wayne Regal, Hurricane, Tyson Tomko, Tajiri, Steven Richards, Raul Venus, Rosie, Chuck Palumbo, Roddy Mack, with Shelton Benjamin winning. Then we had an outfit for the Fulfill Fantasy Diva Battle Royal with Schoolgirl, French Maiden Nurse outfit being the choices. Schoolgirl won for that. Weapon for the Weapon of Choice match, Chain, Steel, Chair, Lead Pipe, Chain won. Stipulations for Eugene versus Eric Bischoff, and it was loser gets their head shaved, loser has to wear a dress, loser has to be the winner servant, and head shave won that clearly. Stipulation for Chris Amy versus Carmella, lingerie pillow fight, evening gown match, and aerobic challenge, pillow fight won that. Opponent for Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Edge, Chris Benoit, HBK won that. And stipulation for Randy Orton versus Ric Flair, steel cage match, falls count anywhere, and submission match, and steel cage match was chosen. Now, a lot of us think, maybe it was Fix. I digress. You just make the choices very, very obvious. But the card was fine. And then in 2009, we had, not 2009. This was 2005. We had a second Taboo Tuesday. And now that you have the second one, it becomes an annual event. But then it was moved to the traditional Sunday, becoming Cyber Sunday in 07. And then in 08, it became Stay Cyber Sunday. And then in 09, it was replaced by Bragging Rights. Bragging Rights went for 2 years, 09 and 010. And it was fine. It was kind of like the brand versus brand, Raw versus SmackDown, and you get a trophy, and there was a 14-man tag match. So the first Bragging Rights ran in 09 in Pittsburgh, PA. And let's look at the results. It was fine. We had the team, first of all, Cena versus Randy Orton. They fought in a 60-minute anything goes Iron Man match. So there you go with that. It went exactly 1 hour. Cena won that 6-5, and if Cena lost, he would have been first to leave the Raw brand and join SmackDown. But we had the Team SmackDown versus Team Raw match, and it was a 7-on-7 14-man tag match. Team SmackDown consisted of Chris Jericho, David Hart Smith, Finley, Kane, Matt Hardy, R-Truth, and Tyson Kidd, and they beat Team Raw, which consisted of Cody Rhodes, Big Show, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, Mark Henry, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. I have no idea how Team Raw lost. I have none. I have no idea how Team Raw lost the match. Team Raw consists of every single person on Team Raw is a former world champion, whereas Team SmackDown only had 4, because R-Truth one is a former NWA world champion. But yeah, so we go from Taboo Tuesday for 2 years to Cyber Sunday for 2 years to Bragging Rights for 2 years. Now, the last year of Bragging Rights, the main event was Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton with John Cena. This was the whole Nexus storyline, with a single match for the WWE Championship. And less said about that, the better. But let's look at Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. So SmackDown for the second year in a row won, and Team SmackDown consisted of Alberto Del Rio, Big Show, Edge, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, and Tyler Rex, versus Team Raw, which consisted of CM Punk, Ezekiel Jackson, John Morrison, The Miz, R-Truth, Santino Marella, and Sheamus. Now that one looks much, much better, and yet Team SmackDown somehow still won. Then we move over to the event that is coming back, Bad Blood, and there's only really one reason Bad Blood is coming back, and that is because it is the anniversary of Kane's debut. Is at the anniversary of the first Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. Now, you can do stuff like this. Remember, the first Bad Blood took place in 1997, October 5th. And here we are with it coming back. So Bad Blood only had 3 events. And for some reason, I feel like we had more. But the other 2 were just Raw exclusive pay-per-views. And I remember one of them being a Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and Kevin Nash. And then the second Bad Blood was Raw exclusive between Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and a Hell in a Cell match. And it looks like Bad Blood number 4 will be, I'm hoping the main event is this Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Hell in a Cell match. We'll talk about Bad Blood 2024 next week. But Bad Blood really seemed like an event that was very much suited for the WWE, and I very much enjoyed it. The cards were good. Like, let's go to that first Bad Blood event, and it was an in your house show at that. So if we go to the results, we had, let's see, the Nation of Domination beat the Legion of Doom. Max Mini and Nova defeated Mosaic and Tarantula. This was a little man's match. The Godwins defeated the Headbangers. Owen Hart defeated Farouk. The Disciples of Apocalypse defeated the Los Boricuas. Such a random match. Who Disciples of Apocalypse? 8 Ball, Chains, Crush, and Skull defeated the Los Boricuas. Bret Hart and British Bulldog beat the Patriot and Vader. And the main event was, of course, the Hell in a Cell match. So Bad Blood really is fun, stands the test of time. Then we had, you heard me talk about it in the list, December to Dismember. That's all we're going to talk about. We're going to say it was not a great show. We are going to move on from it. The less said, the better, because it's just not good. Then we had WWE Breaking Point in 2009, the one specific breaking point. This took place in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I felt like this could have been a submission place show, and it was eventually replaced by Night of Champions, which I missed. And Breaking Point had originally replaced the annual September event, Unforgiven, which we'll talk about just a little bit later, because I grew up on a very specific schedule for WWE pay-per-views. It was Rumble, No Way Out, Mania, Backlash, Judgment Day. I forget what the June pay-per-view was. July, Great American Bash. August, SummerSlam. September, Unforgiven. October, I forget what October was, but November was Survivor Series, and December was Armageddon. We're going to talk about all of those. Breaking Point ran. You didn't really need to place Unforgiven, and Breaking Point was just here. It was a one and done show, and I get it. You want to do something different, and we just take a quick look at that card. It was fine. Jericho beat the world's strongest tag team. I do not remember MVP and Mark Henry in a tag team. Kofi versus The Miz. Legacy beat DX. What was the main event? Punk Taker submission match. So there you go. It's fine. And like we said, it replaced Unforgiven. And Unforgiven had how many events? Unforgiven had 11 events. There was one in Philadelphia? Unforgiven had 11 events. So what was the point? I understand you wanted to do something different, but sometimes you don't need to do anything differently. Why? Like, Unforgiven has such a strong history, and you just got to make things work. Unforgiven. Let's look at some of these main events. Let's go to the one in Philly. One in Philly was Rock versus Benoit, Taker, and Kane for the WWF Championship. Pittsburgh the following year, Stone Cold Kurt Angle. 2002, Brock Lesnar, Taker. Brock Lesnar been around for a hot minute, dog. And then it became a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. And like, I get it. You want to do something different, but just bring it back. And here's the thing, The Last Unforgiven has one of my favorite matches, the Championship Scramble match. You know what the Championship Scramble match is essentially, think of it like an Iron Man match with multiple people. Whoever has the most falls in that match when the timer is up, not most falls, but whoever, okay, there's a championship on the line, and whoever has the final pinfall when the match is over wins. So you could win, you could be in the middle of a match, you could be world champion right now, but then I pin you, now I'm world champion, so on and so forth. But I miss that match. Then we have Armageddon. Y'all remember Armageddon? Armageddon is remembered for one great moment, one fantastic event. Okay, first of all, we had 9 Armageddons. The last one was in 2008, but we all remember the one specific event, the one specific moment that is emboldened, is burned into our brain, and that is, of course, the Hell in a Cell match in 2000. Kurt Angle, Stone Cold, Triple H, Taker, Rock, Rikishi, and the big moment where Undertaker chokeslammed Rikishi off of the Hell in a Cell onto a truck. That alone should make Unforgiven stay here. Period. And yet the WWE felt it was adequate enough to get rid of those events, and that was it. Like, bro, come on. Why would you do that? Like I said, y'all, I grew up on a very specific schedule. Okay, that's just how it was. Rumble, No Way Out, Mania, Backlash, Judgment Day. June was always a toss-up, but for the while it would either be King of the Ring or Vengeance, and then in July it would either be Vengeance or the Great American Bash. SummerSlam was in August, Unforgiven was in September, No Mercy was October, Survivor Series, Armageddon, and that was just like clockwork. I just miss I'm being nostalgic, y'all. But then we had others. We've had Over the Limit. Y'all remember that? That, I think this was a one and done pay-per-view. It replaced Judgment Day. And then again, you didn't need to replace Judgment Day. Why? Like, it's just, I understand that change can be good, but sometimes change doesn't need to happen. You understand? And we had 3 Over the Limits. We had 2010, 2011, and 2012. So we had 3 Over the Limits. Then we had, y'all, now, do y'all remember Great Balls of Fire? One and done, Raw exclusive pay-per-view, and this is when they should have pulled the trigger on on Samoa Joe. Every summer they would pump up Samoa Joe, and then he would just lose. He would just lose, and I never, ever could get with that. Great Balls of Fire, that was a one and done pay-per-view. Then we had Judgment Day. Judgment Day, ladies and gentlemen. I miss Judgment Day. It was, again, there for me. 11 events, 98 all the way up into 2009. For 3 years it was a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, and that's probably why it means so much to me, because it was a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view. But Judgment Day gave us some great moments. It gave us some great matches. I remember very specifically, we know the top moment in Judgment Day history: Rock, Triple H, 60-minute Iron Man match, and Shawn Michaels is the special guest referee, and The Undertaker comes back as the American Badass. I will never forget that I just loved, and we had so many other great matches, great moments. Of course, we talk about '04 with the Judgment Day. I'm not Judgment, not the group, the event. Eddie, JBL, and that bull rope match. We in that blood fight. We remember Taker versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan. We remember Ray versus JBL. We remember Edge and Jeff Hardy. Judgment Day is really, really important to me, and it might be one of the 3 pay-per-views I very much miss the most. That's Great American Bash and No Mercy, which is now a part of NXT. But then we had Payback, which ran for 7 years. There were 7 Payback events. It replaced their May. It was moved around a lot because it was in June, it was in May, it was in August, and it was in September. And that's the one thing I really didn't like about WWE, the pay-per-views, is that you're moving all of these events around, and you just have a schedule. Like, I know the Rumble's in January. I know WrestleMania is around late March, early April. I know SummerSlam's in August. And Payback was here and gone. And we remember it for what? What's the greatest Payback moment? You know what I mean? Like, is it the no holds barred triple threat match for the Universal Championship? Is it Seth versus Shinsuke? Which I really, really hate. There was a Payback last year, and I do not think there's a Payback this year. If we go to this year's schedule, upcoming events, there's nothing scheduled after Survivor Series War Games. So WWE just has stuff to have stuff. You remember Fastlane? Fastlane seems very, very WWE appropriate. So Fastlane ran for 7 years. You sometimes forget that these events ran for, over 5 events. Fastlane was in 2015 in February, in March, and then there was one in October. See what I mean about moving stuff around? It doesn't work. And Fastlane replaced the Elimination Chamber events, which is now gone. We don't need to talk about that. I've done too many shows about the Elimination Chamber, and the Elimination Chamber replaced No Way Out. And I want to talk about No Way Out because it's not here. It's not here because I want to save that for later, just about No Way Out. But Fastlane was here, and then it was gone. And then we had, what was the last? We had Roadblock. I think Roadblock ran for 1 event. And I specifically remember Roadblock for two events. I remember one specifically, which was the Triple H Dean Ambrose one in 2016. And then there was one there were two Roadblocks. There were two Roadblocks in 1 year, ladies and gentlemen. There were 2 Roadblocks in 1 year. Why? See what I mean? WWE doesn't know sometimes what they're doing. And my favorite event that's disappeared, Capital Punishment. Not Capital Carnage, which ran in 1998. Capital Punishment. Now, what was Capital Punishment? I thought it was going to be a kind of homage to the Great American Bash, but no. We had heel R-Truth taking on John Cena for the WWE Championship, and Lord knows I wanted R-Truth to win. R-Truth was main eventing at pay-per-view show. Main eventing. There were no women on the card. But this is what I want. This is when R-Truth was going crazy with little Jimmy. And of course, LOL, Cena wins. And the funny thing is, Capital Punishment had a solid card. We had main roster Ziggler, Kofi for the U.S. title, Alex Riley, Miz, Del Rio, Big Show, Ezekiel, Wade Barrett for the Aussie title, Punk, Ray, Randy, Christian for the world title, Evan Bourne, Jack Swagger, and John Cena versus R-Truth. I really wanted R-Truth to win. Sometimes you gotta pull the trigger. But I know I missed a couple shows. I remember Insurrection. There was Invasion. There was another show in Europe outside of Insurrection, which I can't remember. Of course, No Way Out, which is just gone. And there are the ones that have been gone but have been brought back in NXT, like No Mercy, Vengeance, Great American Bash. I'm all for those. And they brought back In Your House. But that's our show. Thank you for letting me reminisce. I hope you get to reminisce too. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram. Coming up, I'm working on the schedule. It should be live tomorrow. And as always, Anna J, Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, DG Dolan, Bailey, and Isla Dawn. Holla at your boy. Peace.